Yeah, you gotta know how English works. It's really helpful to the language. Uh, the word order in Latin is different. Um, with English, you have to put things in a certain order, else you're not going to understand it, or you're not going to understand it correctly. An example I have is the car, or the car hits the man. They both mean very different things because our meaning of the sentence is dependent on the order in which they are proposed. So because the car is first, that means the car is hitting the man. And if I say man first, it means the man's hitting the car because the man was said first. So our order is subject, verb, object. Subject of the sentence, the man. Verb, what's happening, is being hit. Subject, the car. Sorry, object, the car. That's, in English, is how we know how things are happening. Is the order. Latin, on the other hand, it's not, people say that it doesn't matter, but it kind of does because there's a general rule in which it works. That is subject, object, verb. And so with this example, it would be man car hits, or car man hits. You could say it like that, and that's the general rule of things. That's how it works in Spanish, right? The verbs at the end. Yeah. So the verb, generally speaking, the verbs at the end, but it's also not a hard, fast rule in the fact that I could say hits car man, and you can still read that sentence in Latin correctly because the words modified so that you know what each word is in the part. You know what's the subject, you know what's the object, you know what's the verb, and so you can rearrange it. But generally speaking, the rule is subject, object, verb. I memorized that by remembering SOV. I was like, SOV. Remember that? Because when you're translating a sentence, it's really weird to go like, to read one part, the next part, and you're like, horse, dog. Just like, I don't know. I thought it was helpful to know that.
Wait, so like horse, dog, fought means like the horse and the dog fought?
Yes.
Like, okay, cool. Yeah. Interesting.
It'd be like horse fought the dog. Yes, if you.
So like the horse got annoyed with the dog and
beat him up. Yeah.
Cool.
So what I wanted to focus on today, I was told that verbs might be better to go first, but I disagree because they're really complicated. I don't want to do that. So I want to do nouns. A noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. You can make like running is an action, right? But running can be a verb. Or sorry, running is a verb. Running can be a noun. So the idea of running.
Oh.
And also, if anybody has any corrections, you can correct me. I'm not a professional. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And just for an overview of everything else, verbs, action words, running, he jumped, he squatted, I don't know. Adjectives, they describe nouns, so like the blue bag, the hot pan, the scary dog. Like they modify in a sense what the noun is. Not in a sense, they do. Adverbs, they modify the verb. So if you ran, the boy ran, but the boy ran quickly. Quickly is the adverb. Or the dog bit me really hard is the adverb. Right? Is really hard the adverb, or is it just hard?
I would say really hard, because then you have really that's modifying hard, that's modifying bit. Okay. So yeah.
We'll go with that. Prepositions, they link words together. From, with, on, by, for, to. It essentially describes time, place, location, or description. So like on the horse, like if I sat on the horse, that's a description of location. If I ran to the door, that's a description of location. I ran from the scary dog. It's a directional thing. I'm running away from the dog. Or at the same time as.
So at would be the preposition there?
Yeah, at. If it was like at the same time as this, at would be the preposition. Conjunctions, they link. Does everybody know what a clause is? I didn't know what a clause was. My wife had to explain.
Like just the main point?
So it's an idea. I think of it this way, it's like a fully formed thought. So technically it's a noun and a verb together. So like I ran up. Or I think I ran is technically a full clause, but how you would really use it is like I ran up the stairs, but I fell on my face, like on the way up. Like the but there that separates those two ideas is the conjunction. Okay, now with the actual, we don't have declensions. We have something that's similar. I I think English actually used to have declensions in its more ancient form, but I think the best way that I can explain this is that we use an apostrophe s when something's possessive. So like the cat's toy. You don't write C-A-T-S, you write C-A-T apostrophe S. The apostrophe S is a modifying of the noun. It's not cat anymore, it's cats. And so that's kind of like a declension in Latin. It's like you change the ending based on what that noun is in relation to everything else. We're going to skip that. We're going to go down to the board.
The board.
Honey, if you want to turn the camera.
Oh, sure.
So nouns, there's 5 declensions. There's 5 different types of nouns. It's kind of like, you can't really, each type of noun, I don't want to say each type of noun, but there exists feminine, masculine, and neuter nouns. And there's 5 different types of nouns. So it doesn't mean it's like not a noun. It's still a noun. It's just like the way that it's built and the way that it functions is a certain declension. And so there's 5 of them. Up here, I think is probably what I would look at. First declension is usually feminine. Go ahead.
Is this similar to the Spanish conjugations?
I have no idea.
Yes, I would say yes, but conjugations in Spanish are for verbs, for like actions, and then this is like modifying nouns.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's like conjugating nouns essentially.
Yeah, it does look
Interesting,
familiar.
right?
Yes. And so I really like this chart because it does the colors and it also has everything. Some of them don't do that. There's a root to each noun. And the way that definitions are written in Latin, or at least the way that they should be written, is like puella means girl. Here's puella. And then you're supposed to do apostrophe A-E.
So girl.
This would be, it could mean girls. It could also mean to the girl. It could also mean from within, on, or by the girl.
Oh.
It could mean the girl's possessive form of S. The reason you do this is because that is the nominative form. I'll explain what nominative means in a second. That's the nominative form of the noun. This AE symbolizes this is the ending. I guess you could read it like this. So it has, when you read the definition, you'll see like 2 words there. It's 1 word, but you'll see 2. The nominative and the genitive. The reason for this is because anytime you have a genitive, the way you find the root of that word, the part of the word that doesn't change, is you get rid of the ending of it. So the root of puella, girl, is puella. And so the reason I have the different colors is the root is this color, and then you have the modification on that, which changes its context in the sentence. So, we're going to go over here for a minute. Forget puella specifically. Nominative is subject, the subject of the sentence. Like, I punched him in the face. I am the subject. Him is the object, which is the accusative. So whatever. Yeah.
So nominative is when you add a nominative declension to a noun.
Yeah, well, so it's not like nominative is the subject. So it's like, it's almost like a different name for it. You can think of nominative literally as subject. You can think of it that way, but the way that I guess the Latin culture is when you translate things, they call it the nominative.
So that's like, so if you were like, oh, what's the Latin word for girl? Then someone would say puella. Someone would tell you the nominative form.
Usually the go-to for me when I'm like, what is this word? I'll say the nominative form of it. So like puella, dominus is the nominative for Lord. Deus, nominative form for God. So typically you'll hear nominative because it's like that's like the main character version of the verb of the noun. So when the action's being done to this thing, like I am not the subject, or yeah, if I'm not the subject, I'm the object of that action. So like, he hit me. Me is actually that's a good example. Me is a different form of I. It's the accusative form of I in English because it's happening to me. So, puella, nominative, puellam. So if the action is happening to the girl, so the way that I kind of drilled into my head is nominative, it just is the subject. Accusative, it just means it's the object. The words are interchangeable. Genitive, it's like that apostrophe S. So if something's in the genitive form, you can kind of imagine like just adding an apostrophe S. Or you could think of it like, instead of like the cats, it's of the cat. So it's a possessive form of that verb. So like, yeah.
So like, wait, what's the possessive of a person then? Because it's like.
Trent's watch.
But I mean, like, for bueya would be girl.
Yeah.
The genitive bue.
Puele.
So I own the girl like a slave.
No, it's like possessive in the fact
It'd be
of
like
like
the girl
it's possessing
owns.
something else. So like, if you're saying the girl's hair is curly.
Oh, okay.
The
Mhm.
girl's
Cool.
hair is curly. You would use the genitive.
So
Sorry, genitive form
yeah.
of the word girl, because then you know like the girl's possessing this curly hair that she has, or the curly hair of the girl. Yeah.
So when it comes to the declensions, do they change depending? Is that those feminine declensions?
Yeah. So most things in the first declension are feminine, so you don't really have to worry about it. This is kind of where
There's
I come
more
in.
declensions?
Huh?
There's more declensions?
Yeah.
Or is that like
There's more. There is in the sense of like when it's like feminine, like in the first declension, are you saying there's like a masculine form of the first declension?
yeah.
There is examples of that in other declensions. I think actually first declension, why it's like kind of the best to start with is that doesn't exist. There are like masculine forms of the first declension, but I don't think they're not modified any different. I have to look into that. That's where my Latin kind of drills off a little bit. I'll look into it. So for the sake of just easy learning, assume there's one and it's feminine. Genitive, possessive. And I have this written here because subject fully describes that and object fully describes that. But when you're like putting this in the context of a word, you can like imagine this attached to the word for the sake of English, making it easier for us. When something's in the genitive, add that apostrophe S or put it like of the noun. Dative. So a lot of the charts have this like disorganized, so don't always like associate it with the order that it's in. I like to put dative and ablative together because a lot of times the declensions are the same exact thing. In first declension, it's not that case, but like with the second declension, like they use an O, and it's an O for dative and it's an O for ablative as well. And you know the difference of them by context. So yes, 2 or 4. So like the girl. What of the girl? 2 or 4 the girl. I gave 5 cookies to the girl. 5 cookies for the girl. So it modifies based on like what's happening to that noun. And also you can sometimes like, so the word for add, or the word for to is add. And so you might see like add. So you might see that. And you know that that's the dative form, even though there's like nominative, plural, or dative, or genitive, and you're like, which one is it? What context is it? But it's made easier when they add that. But sometimes that's not there, and so you do have to know the ending of the noun. Ablative, my favorite case. It's the most mysterious. Because it's very interpretive of what you want, unless the author does what I just kind of did with like what specifically they mean. But it could mean from the girl, with the girl, in the girl, on the girl, by the girl. It could mean all these things. But sometimes if they want to be very descriptive of it, they will add a preposition to it, and you'll know what they're talking about. So like with Ave Maria, actually in mulieribus, so among women, they add it in there.
So for descriptives, what it's going to. So
Yeah. Or what's happening to it.
puella would be for the girl.
Yeah, in the puella in the dative, it would be to or for the girl.
Yeah.
And then habla would be from the girl, with the girl, by the girl, on the girl, all these things. So yeah, and then so not only is there nominative, genitive, etc. for the count and for the noun in the singular, but they also change in accordance with the plural. Now, it's a lot to memorize if you want to just like memorize things off the bat, but there are consistencies and there are kind of like rules to it that make it a lot easier when you compare how things are structured. Like one of the rules, you kind of brought it up a little bit, but there's feminine, masculine, and neuter versions of these. So the neuter has a rule that the nominative and accusative are the same ending. That's a rule. They have to be the same ending. And when they're plural, they're always ended in A. And so we'll get there, but like, don't think that you have to memorize all these things and like, be perfect at memorizing. There are patterns and there are consistencies, and as you use the Latin, you'll pick up on them. At least for me, I worked better that way. As you use the Latin, you start to get it. I